the indigenous food system of North America was overlooked. I was learning, me being curious about food, I was learning about Italian cuisine, about Japanese, about French cuisine. I was learning all these different cuisines across the world. But I realized that what was missing is our ancestral food from North America. Like the typical, what they would say, burgers and fries and Coke, looking beyond that. And for me, growing up, what was indigenous food to me was squash and corn and beans. I didn't know what was beyond that. So going to culinary school and researching that myself, and then learning from Sean, just for me, all the research that I learned within the past 5 years working with him just opened up my mind, and just all the knowledge that I have learned within the past 5 years. So today what I'm going to prepare for you is a salad. It's a Three Sisters salad, which is squash, corn, and beans. And I'm adding the palus, cactus from the Southwest, and puffed amaranth, agave, and I made a sunflower seed vinaigrette with agave and maple vinegar, so which I'll be using as a dressing. So right now I have on the stove is two types of beans, and the stock that I made for the beans is out of wild onions with red chili from New Mexico, and a couple of dried sage. So that's just a representation of what the stock is made out of. And so white beans and black beans in here. So I'll start with cutting up the cactus. So with this, you have to be careful when you're cutting cactus at home or preparing it. You have to take out the needles. Wear a glove, or if you have some knowledge of how to prepare and work your way around that, just hold the edge, then take off the needles, scraping with the knife. Then when you're done doing that, cut off the edge, because the edge is a bit tough when you're cooking it. Some people would boil the palus, the cactus, but I like to roast it in the oven or saute it, just give it a quick sear and a quick color. Me, how I got to cooking is at the age of 7. Growing up in a single-parent household with 7 siblings, and me being the last one, I was left at home. Daily, my older siblings would be out playing. I was home with my mom. Her cooking dinner and doing lunch and whatever in the kitchen. The aroma that came from the kitchen, and the tapping of the knife in the kitchen as well. It's kind of what the curiosity that brought me to the kitchen. And just learning how to make salad, how to cut up veg, and how to stir the soup and set the table. For me, that's what brought me to cooking. And in general, is from my mom, and just learning from her, from my grandparent as well. But the last in my family was my grandparent, my grandma, who was a forager. And she did a lot of medicinal use with foraging as well. So just hearing stories about her and what and the stuff that she did, is what caught me as well, just hearing the late stories of it. I'm not going to fully cook the cactus because they get a bit slimy. So I'm just going to just part cook it, just give it some color. If you have never had cactus before, it's similar to, has a lot of acidic flavor. So similar to a lime or lemon. So next we're gonna cut up some corn, sweet corn. Cut off the edge. The salad that I'll be serving you today is it'll be cold. So for me cooking it here on stovetop is just a representation of how it was prepared yesterday. Cut them in half moves. Give these a quick sear as well. My girlfriend Danielle and I moved to Minneapolis about 5 years ago, and I went to culinary school at St. Paul College. We graduated about 2 years ago, 2016. And when I was in culinary school in 2013 is when I met Sean Sherman, the same year that he started his company, The Sous Chef, and he brought me on as an intern. And so ever since then, I've been working with him, just learning from him and the knowledge that he has. And being in culinary school, the first semester, I realized that the indigenous food system of North America was overlooked. I was learning, me being curious about food, I was learning about Italian cuisine, about Japanese, about French cuisine. I was learning all these different cuisines across the world. But I realized that what was missing is our ancestral food from North America. Like the typical, what they would say, burgers and fries and Coke, looking beyond that. And for me, growing up, what was indigenous food to me was squash and corn and beans. I didn't know what was beyond that. So going to culinary school and researching that myself, and then learning from Sean, just for me, all the research that I learned in the past 5 years, working with him, just opened up my mind and just all the knowledge that I have learned within the past 5 years. So today, what I'm going to prepare for you is a salad. It's a Three Sisters salad, which is squash, corn, and beans. And I'm adding the palace, cactus from the Southwest, and puffed amaranth, agave, and I made a sunflower seed vinaigrette with agave and maple vinegar, so which I'll be using as a dressing. So right now I have on the stove is two types of beans, and the stock that I made for the beans is out of wild onions with red chili from New Mexico, and a couple of dried sage. So that's just a representation of what the stock is made out of. And it's white beans and black beans in here. So I'll start with cutting up the cactus. So with this, you have to be careful when you're cutting cactus at home or preparing it, and take out the needles. Wear a glove, or if you have some knowledge of how to prepare and work your way around that, just hold the edge, then take off the needles, scrape with a knife. And when you're done doing that, cut off the edge, because the edge is a bit tough when you're cooking it. Some people would boil the palace, cactus. But I like to roast it in the oven or saute it. Just give it a quick sear and a quick color. Start the pan. So there are varieties of cactus in the Southwest. There's different types. And for here in Minneapolis, you can go to your local Mexican mercado, Mexican market, and pick out the cactus you like. And what they carry also is a type of a cactus called cholla bud. So it's a bit circle, and they're the fruit of the cactus. Just dice these up. Me, how I got to cooking is at the age of 7. Growing up in a single-parent household with 7 siblings, and me being the last one, I was left at home, daily. My older siblings would be out playing. I was home with my mom. Her cooking dinner, doing lunch, and whatever in the kitchen. The aroma that came from the kitchen, and the tapping of the knife in the kitchen as well. It's kind of what the curiosity that brought me to the kitchen, and just learning how to mix salad, how to cut up veg, and how to stir the soup and set the table. For me, that's what brought me to cooking in general, is from my mom, and just learning from her, from my grandparent as well. But the last in my family was my grandparent, my grandma, who was a forager, and she did a lot of medicinal use with foraging as well. So just hearing stories about her and what and the stuff that she did. It's what caught me as well, just hearing the late stories of it. I'm not going to fully cook the cactus because they get a bit slimy. So I'm just going to just part cook it, give it some color. If you have never had cactus before, it's similar to, has a lot of acidic flavor. So similar to a lime or a lemon. So next we're going to cut some corn, sweet corn. Cut off the edge. The salad that I'll be serving you today is it'll be cold. So for me cooking it here on the stove top is just a representation of how it was prepared yesterday. cooking, I'll cut up some squash. Cut it in half moon. Give these a quick sear as well. Beans are pretty much done. So with beans, what you usually do is soak it overnight, just so the beans can expand. So it'll take less time for it to cook. Let's cook, okay. It's always great to support your local organic farms, especially in the city. There's a lot of smaller lots in the city, and they're doing what they can to stay healthy and to keep the community healthy, and also entrepreneurship that goes back into the farmers and all the stuff that they're doing for the community. You guys were here earlier with the Dream of Wild House students, the youth. They were doing salad as well, and they're presenting how you have to mix oil with the kale when you're making salad, or just regular oil. And the reason is that is because the kale is pretty much tough, so you just have to loosen up the strand and the cells in it. Mixing the vinaigrette with the greens for now.